Thanks for taking me out to brunch, boss.
Don't sweat it, doll. It's Employee Appreciation Day, and it stopped raining for the first time in like a year, so I thought, what the hell? Oh, by the way, I think I accidentally got one of your Amazon orders again. It's like a anime bunny girl lingerie. Lingerie? It's pronounced lingerie. What the hell are you talking about? It's spelled lingerie.
It's a French word derived from their word for linen. It's pronounced lingerie. How do you not know this? You're like 10 years older than me. Didn't you go to college? Aren't you supposed to be an accomplished adult?
I really don't appreciate having my maturity challenged by a shortstop who cosplayed as a girl from Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Neon Genesis Evangelion. You're just trying to piss me off.
Look, is the bunny lingerie yours or not?
Yes, it's mine. I like dressing up in the privacy of my own home, okay? Jesus, this is embarrassing.
Don't worry, doll. I enjoy it too. The bunny lingerie is super comfortable, by the way. You made a good purchase.
How do you know that it's comfortable? Oh. Yeah, you can keep that one and I'll just reorder it.
By the way, did you know that you can see the next installment of Vampires in Lingerie a week early right now on Patreon?
What the fuck are you talking about? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Vampires in Lingerie, my April Fool's Month special. Previously, Detective McCoy and his faithful secretary Lucy were hired by a mournful dame, Charlotte Hotpants, to find her missing girlfriend, Vinny, who had gone missing a few days before. McCoy and Lucy began their investigation at Tony's Dancing Girls, the strip club Vinny had been forced to work at due to job discrimination. Tony, the owner of the strip club, tells the detective duo that he'd sent Vinny on a house call the night she disappeared. When McCoy and Lucy arrive on the scene, they find the customer dead, his throat ripped out. McCoy and Lucy also note a missing book and a stolen wall safe. Unsure of what to do next, Lucy and McCoy consider visiting the university the murder victim worked at in order to find answers, but stop as their police friend drives off in a hurry, responding to an emergency call where police officers are having their throats ripped out by some kind of a monster. We left off just as McCoy and Lucy rushed after their police friend in order to try and find out what this mysterious monster is for themselves. Perpetual rain endlessly casts itself down at the streets of the city, a slow and steady assault that will one day reduce the metropolis to ruin as the mill of erosion grinds slow but sure. A battered old car goes up and over a slight hill in the road, gaining air for a moment before landing and ripping down the road at dangerous speeds. The carriage within sits dark, lit intermittently when passing under a streetlight.
First, this professor character gets murdered by having his throat ripped out, and now a bunch of cops are having their throats ripped out by some kind of monster, McCoy says. Figure it's a coincidence?
Oh my god, please slow down, sir, we're going to die, Lucy says calmly.
We're not going to die tonight, doll, McCoy says. Not with my 6-shooter in my pocket.
First of all, your Smith & Wesson Model 500 has a 5-round capacity, Lewis mumbles in panic. That makes it a 5-shooter, if anything. Second of all, I don't think you can shoot a building to prevent us from crashing into it.
You crack me up, doll, McCoy chuckles.
McCoy removes his face from the steering wheel, blood running out of his crumpled nose. Lucy's hair is now a complete mess, and one of the lenses of her glasses is cracked when she retrieves it from the dashboard.
See? McCoy says. Shortcut.
Lucy responds by grabbing McCoy by the tie and pulling him into a swinging fist. A bruise quickly begins to form on McCoy's cheek as Lucy undoes her seatbelt and steps out of the car. She goes to McCoy's door and rips it open before then ripping McCoy out of his car seat and tossing him to the floor before kicking him repeatedly.
Let's get the fuck inside, Lucy says. Get the fuck up.
McCoy gets up, and he and Lucy approach the warehouse, but stop when they hear a groan from inside the McCoy car. Turning back, they see the small frame of a Victorian paperboy rubbing his face. "Oh, motherfucker, what the hell?" Jerome says.
"Oh, right, the paperboy," McCoy says. "Can you watch the car for us, Junior Detective?"
Yeah, Jerome says. "Oh, my fuckhead." McCoy and Lucy rush into the building, guns drawn. In the middle of the warehouse, illuminated by a dim ceiling light, are a few bodies surrounding a crushed table. Officers are all over the warehouse, searching around with flashlights.
"What the hell happened here?" McCoy asks.
"Mob meeting," Officer Remy replies. "As you can see, some of our boys in blue were here undercover at the time." "Undercover in police uniforms?" Lucy asks. "Yeah," Remy says. "They was, pretending to be on mob payroll." "Pretending," Lucy repeats. "I'm sure." Lucy and McCoy holster their guns and approach the table and the bodies. The collapsed table has a clear, bloody shoe print on it, and the bodies are all inflicted with various slashes, and more than one has a gun in its hand. Some of them have police uniforms, while others are in pinstripe suits. One body in particular seems to have been dragged away from the table, leaving behind it a trail of blood. The head of this body has been pulverized into nothingness, crushed under what appears to be a torn-out wall vault that sits closed.
"Is that the vault from the professor's apartment?"
"I guess that ties our home intruder to whatever happened here. And I guess whatever super strength was enough to tear it out of the wall and climb down 4 stories with it still wasn't enough to rip it open." Lucy puts on a latex glove and gets to work on the combination lock, pressing her ear against the safe. In a few turns, she has it open and retrieves a handful of papers.
"These are notes about vampires?" McCoy says, confused.
"Really old notes," Lucy says. "Like, really old. This is parchment paper. Come to think of it, this looks like the kind of thing a professor can find from a university library."
"So, a professor who gets consulted by the mob about supernatural matters has been looking into vampires lately," McCoy says. "You think the mob's been having vampire trouble?"
"Well, that's what the clues point towards," Lucy says. "But I don't believe in vampires."
"You haven't been with me very long, doll," McCoy says. "You'll be surprised what you believe in once you skim the bottom of the city's underbelly for all the criminal, skim that one can eat."
"Very convincing speech, sir," Lucy says, before taking a closer look at the blood pooling on the ground. Lucy's eye is caught by subtle impressions in the dusty floor, as well as a subtle trail of blood drips leading away. "Whoever or whatever did this, I think it went this way," Lucy says. McCoy and Lucy follow the footprints in the dust, which lead to the wall of the warehouse where the footprints end.
"Look at this,"
McCoy says, running a hand on the wall.
"What are these little punctures in the wall?"
Lucy looks closer and sees several sets of 5 cleat-like punctures in the sheet metal walls. Lucy pulls out a little flashlight and shines it on the wall, following the punctures up the wall with her eyes until they reach an open window. "Guess they left the warehouse through this window," Lucy says.
"They're probably long gone, but we might be able to find some more clues if we walk that way," McCoy says. "Care for some fresh air, doll?"
McCoy and Lucy step outside the warehouse and walk out in the direction the window faces, scanning the floor back and forth with their flashlights. "Not seeing any clear signs that anyone went this way," Lucy says.
"Let's go over the facts of the case," McCoy grumps. "Vinny is forced into employment at Tony's. Vinny is sent to the professor's apartment for a private show. Or so Tony says. This professor works for the mob on paranormal matters and has been researching vampires recently. We find this professor dead and no sign of Vinny. Then several mobsters are murdered, with a stolen artifact from the professor's apartment at the scene. Signs point to Vinny being behind this, but why?"
"Tony might know," Dahl says. "He's the one who sent Vinny there. And his sudden shift in profession from making pizza to running a strip club is pretty sussy-wussy amogus bad times."
"What the fuck?"
I don't know. I thought it would be funny to say.
"It was just kind of cringe."
Whatever. Lucy and McCoy wander into a nearby spot of woods and walk between the trees and into the bramble under the light of the moon. Soon they find themselves at some old, ruined brick buildings. "What are these?" Lucy asks.
"Looks like an old place you'd get emissions done at," McCoy says. "Probably closed 20 years ago and was left to be reclaimed by nature. I guess the more the city turns into a cesspit, The parts that already were become ruins.
The two stop as they see a bloody handprint next to the doorless doorway of the building. The two exchange a look and draw their guns before entering. Lucy and McCoy shine their flashlights around, inspecting their surroundings, but find only dust, discarded tin cans, and a puddle of oil.
Lucy, look!
Oh my god, what is it?
There's an entire abandoned Burger King meal here. It's caked in like 20 years of dust, but it's completely untouched.
What the hell?
I know, right?
Why would someone buy an entire Whopper combo and just leave it out on a counter for 20 years?
And how is it that it's completely untouched by mold or vermin?
Okay, forget Vinny for a minute. We need to get to the bottom of what the fuck is going on with this burger.
I agree.
A vampire lunges down from the ceiling and slashes McCoy across the chest with its claws. Lucy screams and fires her pistol at the vampire. The bullet from her gun pierces the snarling, feral humanoid through the chest, and it stumbles back and away from McCoy. Lucy watches in frenzied horror as the fresh flesh wound begins to close before her eyes. Lucy shines her light onto the vampire and lets out an involuntary scream, for the visage before her is that of the missing Vinny, still wearing her outfit from Tony's, but with long, distended claws, long fangs, and blood soaking her hands and mouth. Lucy takes a shaking step back, her breaths more labored and shuddering, but steadies herself and tries to be observant. She notices that under one arm the vampire Vinny is holding a large tome, about the size of the book she and McCoy suspects was taken from the professor's house. Lucy fires another shot at Vinny's arm, trying to make her drop the book. The bullet pierces Vinny's wrist, and she drops the tome to the ground. McCoy sits up, and raises his magnum revolver to take aim at Vinny. Vinny turns to him, illuminated in Lucy's flashlight, and McCoy sees for the first time her unnatural, twisted, undead form. McCoy lets out an involuntary scream, higher pitched than Lucy's, and then prepares to fire his magnum. However, as he looks closer at Vinny's face, he sees more than just undead fury and burning killer instinct, but also an unmistakable fear in her eyes. McCoy drops his gun. "Whoa, what are you doing, boss?" Lucy yells.
It's Vinny, McCoy says. She's our missing person. Vinny.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad you're okay.
McCoy shuffles to his feet, hands raised.
Vinny, McCoy says. Hot Pants asked us to find you. She's been worried sick. I'm so sorry for walking in here with a gun. We didn't know who was in here. God, how are you doing? How have you been? The goth look really suits you.
Vinny stares in a mix of rage and confusion at McCoy for a moment before tackling him out of her way with her shoulder and leaping through a window. She runs out into the woods with unnatural speed and is long gone in moments. Lucy holsters her gun and helps McCoy up to his feet. "This is terrible," Lucy says.
What are you talking about? McCoy says. We just proved that our client's gal is still alive. This is wonderful news.
Sir, she's an undead monster.
Wow, doll. Just because somebody has the undead condition doesn't mean they're a monster, okay?
We're going to have to inform Hot Pants that her lover is an unholy abomination now.
Seriously, doll? After all the oppression you face, you're going to pull the unholy abomination card on her?
I like women, and she's an undead monster in league with Satan. These are not the same thing.
Doll, that's all fiction. We don't know how real-life vampires work. Who knows? Maybe she is a Satan girl like in the books, but maybe in reality it's more like a skin condition.
Skin condition?
Doll, where should we go next? The university or to Tony's?
Probably the university.
You calm down quick?
I don't know. Questions tend to calm me down. McCoy and Lucy get back to the car, but she draws a gun on him. McCoy raises his hands and gets into the passenger seat, allowing Lucy to get in the driver's seat. Once in the driver's seat, Lucy reads the title of the large tome that Vinny dropped. "Vampirism and Common Household Remedies," Lucy says. I guess she didn't want to be a vampire.
The only question is, how did she become one to begin with? McCoy says, taking the book and flipping through it.
Who became a what now? Jerome says from the back of the car.
Jerome, do you want to drive?
Motherfucker, I'm 10. Jerome, could you flip through these papers? Lucy asks, throwing the papers they got from the professor's vault into the back. Oh yeah, Jerome says, his Victorian voice returning. I'm good at reading, miss. Lucy starts the car and begins driving to the university. You boys find any useful information in those? Lucy asks as they drive down the flooding city streets.
Remedies. The title of this book is Vampirism Common Household Remedies, doll.
Fantastic work. How about you, kid? Jerome responds by vomiting onto the floor. Sorry, miss, Jerome says. I'm usually real good at reading, but not in moving car. Or maybe that was because of the car crash earlier. Right, Lucy says. That's why I let McCoy drive. I forgot who does the reading around here. As Lucy says this, and as she's distracted by her conversation, she crashes into a car parked outside the university, denting the fenders of both cars.
We're really unlucky today, McCoy says. That was 2 threes in a row. You could have spent 2 luck to pass, though, doll.
What the fuck are you talking about? McCoy and Lucy enter the university library, and at the desk they see a old woman. Oh my, the old crone croinks. I'm sorry, we're moments away from closing for the night.
Oh, we don't intend to keep you open, Miss
Gertrude. Is Gertrude a good name for an old woman? Sure, I'm Miss Gertrude.
Miss Gertrude. Charmed.
No, I'm not.
No, I mean, I'm charmed. I'm Detective McCoy. Private Eye. This is my secretary. She likes women.
Oh my. So, yeah, what do you want, mate? We found some missing papers, Lucy says. Do you recognize these? Lucy places the papers from the professor's vault on the desk, and the librarian looks them over. Oh, yes. They're surviving pages from a very old book about the supernatural from some time between 1600 and 1800. They're called
Die Vampir-Tagebucher.
Die Vampir-Tagebucher.
really old paper about vampires. It says so right in the corner, but you probably couldn't read it because it's German. It was checked out from the university archives just a day or so ago. It was checked out by Professor Peabody from the university archives. We normally never let any papers from down there leave the building, but Peabody is a long-tested and trustworthy professor who had top marks at Miskatonic University.
Did he mention why he was doing research into this topic?
Well, he did, actually. In blunt detail, in fact. You see, I call him trustworthy in the sense that he always returns what he borrows, but he's rather, eccentric. He believes in the supernatural outright and isn't shy about it, so when he asked to have these papers, he told me exactly why. He thinks a string of murders that has taken place in the city lately are related to, or even been caused by, vampires. Mind you, he's not the only true believer among the professors here, but he is the only one who would just say he thinks vampires are running amok rather than think of something more normal to say.
We met a vampire less than an hour ago.
And now we have another two. Well, I wouldn't be as open about it, Lucy says. Don't lump me in with them, please. Anyway, what are these murders? Well, there have been a lot of extremely violent murders for the last 2 months. These murders have some suggestive similarities. They typically involve victims who have had their throats ripped out, and in some cases, small puncture wounds on the side of the throat have been noted as well. I can almost understand how these details can lead a batty old professor to believe vampires are behind it, but there's an even weirder shared detail behind them I think deserves more attention.
What's that?
All of the murder victims were owners of, certain establishments. Establishments such as, Lucy asks. Well, Gertrude says, the whorehouses. Strip clubs where women stripped for naughty boys. Why, back in my day, showing an ankle was considered indecent, you know. How uncouth. How old are you? Lucy asks. Oh, let me just, 74, dear. So, what, you were born in the 50s? What does that make your days? The fucking 70s? I don't know why I said the ankle thing. It just seemed like the old thing to do.
Just one more thing, McCoy says. Do you know what the paper's about? The, German paper?
Well, the full text would have covered vampires in great detail, Gertrude says. However, as for the surviving pages, they mostly cover a certain artifact that's said to have been crafted by medieval wizards, known as the Vampire Medallion. Apparently it was a magical artifact that had the ability to control vampires, and it was crafted in an attempt to defend against and even potentially weaponize vampires. However, at least according to legend, the vampire medallion can only be wielded by wizards and, ironically, vampires. And it has been in the possession of both wizards who combat vampires and vampires who sought to become warlords. Or so the legend says.
Is there any evidence such an artifact actually existed?
Well, an artifact matching the description of the medallion was found a good many years ago, and it was stored in a museum in Transylvania for decades now. Well, until this last October. It was stolen, windows and glass cases smashed, and one or two security guards murdered in... Well, now that I think about it, in ways that are weirdly reminiscent of the recent murders of strip club owners. McCoy and Lucy exchange a look.
Thank you for your time, McCoy says. But one more thing. You're just a librarian. How do you know all this weirdly relevant information that you're dumping right now?
Well, you see, Gertrude stammers.
Shit.
He's on to me. Gertrude throws a smoke bomb on the ground and disappears. Lucy and McCoy step outside into the rain. The time is a little past midnight. Tony is looking real suspicious right now, Lucy says.
I say we pay the man a little visit,
McCoy groans.
He'll probably still be at his establishment. He stays pretty late into the night doing paperwork. Let's go pay him a little visit.
McCoy and Lucy step into their car. McCoy inspects his revolver.
You fired a shot with your gun earlier,
McCoy says.
You better reload, doll, and be ready for anything. I've got a bad feeling about this. I feel it in my throat. I feel it in my throat, doll. I feel it in my I'm not gonna say that, but I feel it in my throat.
Lucy, it's really hard to do this voice all the time. God. Whew.
Yeah, I feel it in my I feel it.